Good evening. Scott is on assignment for 60 Minutes. I'm Sharon Alfonsi. U.S. military forces are going back to Iraq. 2.5 years after President Obama pulled the last troops out, he announced today he's sending as many as 300 special forces back in. The president said the U.S. will be prepared for what he calls targeted military strikes, but he vowed U.S. troops are not going back into combat. The president said he is taking these actions in the interest of America's national security. We have a series of reports tonight, including our team in Iraq. But first, Major Garrett at the White House.
President Obama described the Special Forces mission as limited, gain intelligence on the Sunni insurgents and advise Iraqi security forces defending Baghdad.
I think we always have to guard against mission creep. So let me repeat what I've said in the past. American combat troops are not going to be fighting in Iraq again.
Army Green Berets will deploy in groups of 12. They'll be stationed in command posts near Baghdad and with Iraqi troops north of the capital. U.S. airstrikes remain on hold while the special forces gather information.
We will be prepared to take targeted and precise military action if and when we determine that the situation on the ground requires it.
The president called on Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki to be more inclusive of minority Sunnis and Kurds or risk losing U.S. support. He said that Iran should not work only on behalf of Iraq's Shia majority. What do you sense of that right now?
I think Iran has heard from us. We've indicated to them that it is important for them to avoid steps that might encourage the kind of sectarian splits that might lead to civil war.
The prospect of U.S. airstrikes remains real, but will not be limited to Iraq. Sharon senior officials said if U.S. interests are threatened, military action could target these same Sunni insurgents now operating in neighboring Syria.
All right, thanks. Major Garrett tonight at the White House. CBS News correspondent Clarissa Ward is in Baghdad tonight. Clarissa, the president seemed to raise the question whether Prime Minister Maliki can solve this crisis or not. What do people think there?
Well, Sharon, obviously it depends who you talk to, but it has been striking to see a lot of top Shiite politicians coming out of the woodwork and saying that Maliki must go, that his policies are too sectarian, too divisive, that he has alienated the Sunni people and pushed their leaders out of the government. There is a general consensus here in Iraq that this country should remain unified, but really that can only happen if they can create a national unity government. And frankly, a lot of people here have some doubts about whether Maliki can make that happen.
But the U.S. has said it's not committed to airstrikes, not committed to boots on the ground. So how's the Iraqi government going to react to that?
Well, there will certainly be some disappointment that the president didn't commit to those airstrikes. Ideally, the Iraqis would like to see the U.S. be a silent partner in the skies, and really the emphasis is on silent there. You'll notice it took them a week to even publicly ask for these airstrikes. They don't want to be seen as being dependent on the U.S. or being weak, and they certainly don't want to see, Sharon, U.S. boots on the ground here.
All right, thanks, Clarissa. Iraqi forces are battling Sunni extremists who have seized the land you see in red in their quest to form an Islamist state in parts of Iraq and Syria. North of Baghdad in Beji, a battle is underway for control of Iraq's largest oil refinery. Black smoke rose from the facility today. Iraq is in danger of breaking apart. It is already a nation split among Sunni and Shia Muslims and the Kurds, each group with its own interests. Holly Williams is in northern Iraq with the Kurds.
Okay, so the mountains are controlled by ISIS?
Yep.
Okay.
We travelled with Kurdish fighters north of Kirkuk, not far from where they're taking on the militants. They're disciplined and well-equipped, but their goal is to protect their own region in the northeast, not to push the militants out of Iraq for good. And like everyone else here, they want control of this.
Oil is Iraq's most lucrative industry, but it's also this country's curse because people are willing to fight and die for it.
At this checkpoint outside the oil fields, the Kurdish fighters can see the militants, but they're not confronting them.
But ISIS are over there.
Terrorists.
Terrorists.
Yeah.
With different groups battling for their own interests. Many here believe Iraq can no longer survive as one state.
You had contact with the Americans?
Yeah, before.
Sheikh Ali al-Hatam is a tribal leader who's worked with the US to defeat Islamic militants. We have two options, he told us, splitting the country or civil war. And splitting the country is better than killing each other.
That sounds simple enough, but splitting Iraq in three would be complex and probably violent. Still, Sharon, nearly everyone we speak to here in the north of the country tells us that Iraqis can no longer live together.
Thank you, Holly Williams from Erbil, Iraq tonight. There's a new batch of severe weather moving through parts of the upper Midwest tonight. Heavy thunderstorms and hail are in the forecast. Jamie Yukas of CBS station WCCO in Minneapolis is watching it for us. Jamie.